guys, how's it going? Welcome back to another video. Right now it is Sunday afternoon around 5:30 p.m. and this is the time in which I usually plan the upcoming week. So in this video, I'm actually going to show you guys how I plan my week, prioritize different tasks, and schedule them throughout the week. So back in my undergraduate and even my master's degree, I didn't actually spend that much time planning my week or planning my day and organizing things. I kept things mostly in my head, and that worked out okay because my schedule as a student was very straightforward. It was essentially go to class and make sure I finish all the assignments and study for my exams, and that was about it. However, once I started working, and especially after I started doing YouTube and all the other stuff on the side, I quickly realized that there was just a lot of stuff that I have to get through each week. And by trying to keep everything in my head, it ended up being super stressful because I was always stressed out about potentially like forgetting something that I had to do. And I also just felt like my process was really inefficient because I would just do things whenever I remembered when to do them, even though like the sequence of tasks that I would do, it would not be in a very efficient way. So naturally, I started thinking more about how to optimize my workflow. And I looked at a bunch of different productivity videos, different productivity apps, and most of them just did not work well for me. So I developed my own system, which borrowed heavily from a lot of books that I've read, which emphasizes two things especially. The first one is simplicity, and the second one is flexibility. So let me show you guys my system. The first step of my weekly planning process is a brain dump. This is something that I first learned from Chris Bailey in his book, The Productivity Project. What a brain dump essentially is that you take all the stuff in your brain and, as its name suggests, you dump it all onto a page. It doesn't matter how big or small a task is. It doesn't even need to be a task. Like any thoughts that I just dump everything in my head onto paper. So let's start off with that. Today is October 24th, 2021. So I'm literally gonna write down everything that's in my brain right now. By the way, if you see blurred out stuff, that's just stuff that I need to blur out because it's related to my job. So these are pretty much all the things that I have to do for the week. I know, it's a pretty long list, right? All of that was just kind of in my head, just swirling around, taking up so much cognitive space. Feel a lot less stressed because at least I can see now, and then because I can see the things that are here, I can start acting upon them and prioritizing them. So the next step from this process is I'm going to go through this list over here and cross out the stuff that I know for sure that I'm not going to do and things that are not actionable, like things I can't actually do anything about. So let's do that. Okay, so it seems like most things that I have here are pretty actionable. I mean, I'm not gonna redesign my filming space. It's been something that I've been thinking about doing for a while now, but you know, I kind of set up this setup now and I think it's gonna suffice. The next step is to organize everything into 4 different categories. I call them P0, P1, P2, and dependents. So P0, P1, and P2 are priorities. So priority 0 is considered the most important. And then there's priority 1 and priority 2. And then there's the category called dependent, with stuff that I'm waiting on. Like maybe I send an email to someone and I'm waiting for them to get back to me on it. Or it's like an application that I put in and I'm waiting to hear back from it. I don't want to forget about it, but there's also nothing I can actively do right now. So I put that in the category of dependent. In terms of how I go from P0, P1, and P2, I used to do an Eisenhower matrix, which is when you do stuff based upon urgency and importance. But these days I tend to not be so obsessive about like actually splitting it up into the matrix. I just have like a general feel of what I consider to be urgent and important and put that as priority 0s and then go down a list of priority 1s and priority 2s. So let's do that. So what I do here is P0s, P1s, P2s, and dependents. On Notability, which is the app that I'm using right now, it has this nice little function where you can move stuff around easily. Let me show you. This is considered to be a P0, so I can just do that and then just move it down to P0 over here. And then I just do that for the rest of them.
A few moments later.
And that's done. Everything is organized into P0s, which there's so many of, P1s and P2s, and dependent, which is just my property tax bill. The next step is the 2-minute rule. So I talk about a 2-minute rule in this video over here, which I will link, but it's basically an anti-procrastination micro habit. And it's all about the fact that if you can do something in 2 minutes, then you might as well do it now because it's going to take less time for you to do it as opposed to worrying about it and thinking about it and putting it off. From each of the core categories, I highlight everything that can be done within 2 minutes and then I would just go and do it. I find that doing this, first of all, clears of my list at least by a few items, and I feel a good sense of accomplishment, which is always a good start to the week. Cool. So that is 6 items that can be done within 2 minutes. So usually I would go and do that now, but since I'm in the middle of filming this video, I will go and do that after I finish filming this video. Moving on now to the next step. For things that I definitely know when it is I'm going to do them, I'm going to write down the date in which I'll be doing these things. So for example, I always film on Sunday, and generally for thinking about what it is that I'm going to be filming for next week, I usually do that on Wednesday or Thursday. So I just write Wednesday/Thursday. I find that doing this is helpful in the sense that it gives me an idea of what my week is going to look like. What I used to do before is I would also pre-schedule and pre-plan each day, but I found that I ended up having to change things a lot because my week doesn't always go as I think it will go. So now I just pre-plan for the week using the brain dump, and then schedule each day when that day comes. Before I get to that though, there is one more thing that I like to pre-plan on Sundays. I like to pre-plan my outfits primarily for 2 reasons. When I use my precious brain energies in the morning to do something which I consider to be relatively trivial, I feel like I'm wasting that brain energy and wasting that time. Now the second reason is that if there's one pet peeve that I have, it's when I can't find things. Like, it drives me absolutely insane when I can't find stuff. And for me, that's always socks. Like, I don't know, I can buy like 50 pairs of socks, and for some reason when I need to find socks in the morning, I cannot find socks. It drives me insane, so pre-planning outfits helps a lot for me. I have 10 black t-shirts, and I also have 2 pairs of leggings and a couple pairs of pants. So I hang up my uniforms for each day onto my rack, so in the mornings I can just pick them up and then get dressed really quickly. I find that if I just wear gym clothes throughout the day, despite being not very fashionable, it does help me kind of get over the resistance of going to the gym because I don't have to change anymore. Less fashionable, look slightly homeless, but end up going to the gym, which I guess is worth it to me. So today's Sunday night, and usually I would go and plan each day on the morning. So on my Monday mornings, I would plan Monday. But since we're doing this now, it's already Sunday night anyway, I'm just gonna plan for tomorrow's schedule. So the way that I do this is that I go from 6 a.m., which is when I wake up, and 11 p.m., which is the latest that I'm gonna sleep. And then just write those times and then start blocking out chunks of time. The first thing that I schedule in are meetings and urgent things that are time bound. The next thing that I do is I leave some space on the top, and then I put down the 2 P0 things that I get from my brain dump. One thing is a work related thing that's important that I need to do, and one of them is a non-work related thing. I got this concept from the book called The One Thing. The reason why I do 2 things is because I just find like I always have one work thing that's really important. I always have one non-work thing that's important. So I kind of just made it my own so that it's 2 things now. And what I like to do is always schedule these 2 things in as early as possible. And the reason for this is because for me, the mornings are when my brain is the most clear, and it's also where I tend to procrastinate the least. So it's always best to get these important things done in the morning. Also, it kind of just sets the tone for the rest of the day when I finish these, and I feel a lot more relaxed afterwards. While scheduling these things in, wanted to give you guys a few tips that I picked up since I've been doing this for a while. So the first thing is that things always take longer than anticipated. Generally take however long it is I think it's going to be, and multiply that by usually 1.5 to 2 times the amount of time. Because the way I see it is that if I finish early, then I'll feel good about myself, but if I actually finish late, it's gonna mess with the rest of the schedule, and I generally feel worse about myself. So I might as well just potentially finish early than finish late. My second tip is to always schedule a little bit of time for context switching between tasks. For me, I actually schedule in 30-minute blocks whenever I have to switch between one task to another task, because it does take me a while to switch between contexts, and that's something that I actually struggle with quite a bit. Third tip is to also schedule in breaks and times to eat ahead of time as well. For example, if I'm not going to schedule time in to watch anime, I'm still going to watch anime anyway. So I try to be more honest with myself and just schedule those times in. It also makes me feel less guilty because it's actually, I'm still following through with that schedule, and I'm just being more intentional with my time. So I was so excited about putting in anime that I totally forgot to actually schedule in the short scripts that I need to work on as another P0 that's non-work. So the way that I usually do this is that I start working on the shorts during the live streams, because that's early in the morning. So I start working on this usually around the last 20 minutes or so. The rest of it, I'm going to be completing it here. So from 8:30 until 9. And that should be enough to get my second item done. And then I'll watch anime. Finally, my last tip, as your day goes along, there's going to be things that are going to be shifting. You know, things happen, or you just fall behind on schedule, or maybe you are ahead of schedule. I try to see this as like a living document, and the way that it's organized is such that you can easily change as time goes on, and you can reschedule blocks of time. The key thing to note here is that at any point in time, even when things are shifting, you are able to take control of however much time you have left in that rest of the day and prioritize that and shift the time so that you're still in control of what it is you're going to be doing for the next day. Like, you don't want to do the thing that I used to do, which is if things don't go according to plan, I kind of just like give up for the rest of the day. So I try to always go with the schedule, and if the schedule changes, then I would just reprioritize my task and just do that for the rest of the day. There are days in which everything completely shifts for me, and I'm learning to be more okay with that. I've been doing this for a while now, and a really big benefit that comes from doing this is I feel like I understand myself a lot better now. Planning these days and trying to be honest with myself and scheduling things, I start noticing like when it is that I work the best, when is it that I have a tendency to not actually follow through with something. Also like when things generally shift a lot. Little by little, day by day, I notice that I'm a lot more accurate in terms of how I schedule my time because I understand myself a lot better now. So yeah, that is my system. It works pretty well for me. In a couple months time, if I were to remake this video, it's probably gonna look a little bit different. So because I'm always adding on more stuff and experimenting with different things to see if it works well with my current system or not. Let me know in the comments below if you also plan your week, and if you do, how you do that, and also how you plan your day as well. I hope this video was helpful for you and maybe gave you some ideas about how to organize and plan your week. I will see you guys in the next video or live stream.